Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it. It is 8:05. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who have joined my live today. We do this every Friday at 8 p.m. here on my Instagram channel. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and kick off with the first question, which is, do I have an automatic copyright? And then from there, we are going to jump into y'all's questions that you may have that you have not necessarily had the opportunity to get the answer to. Okay, so I just got my notes. I just want to make sure I cover everything, and we are good to go. All right, so first off, let's just talk about what a copyright is, right? A lot of times people think that, the only way you can have a copyright, have your music copywritten rather, is when you file with the Library of Congress. Well, by law, the copyright is just a form of protection granted by law to you if you have your work in a tangible form. If it is a tangible form of expression, so that means if you are writing a song and you have typed up the lyrics in your phone, if you have sang the song and now it's recorded and you can actually play it back and someone can listen to it, those are all tangible forms. Even if you have a lyric sheet, right, and all your lyrics are typed up on a form, that, in addition to us being able to hear it, in addition to it being on your electronic device, that is also a copyright, okay? And that's automatic because you are then the intellectual, the owner of the intellectual property. So once it becomes in a tangible form, it's intellectual property, right? And once it becomes intellectual property, whoever is the owner of that property automatically owns it, and it is copywritten at that moment. However, having a copyright certification that is federally filed with the Library of Congress protects you should anything happen and you were to get sued. You would not only have the timestamp from the studio session or the timestamp in your electronic device when you actually typed it, the day, the time, or that, if it's a printed piece of lyric sheet or, and it has the date on it, all of that would be protected. It would be a part of the case. However, if you're presenting in court, that also having that federal certification also gives you the ability to sue for damages, to even ask if your attorney's fees can be covered and all of that extra stuff, just because you have that federally filed certification. So it also shows the court system that you've done your due diligence to make sure that your work is protected federally. And so that's why a lot of people, no matter what, they're always asking that question, should I file my copyright? And so that is the difference with having it automatically copywritten without any federal certification. It just doesn't allow you to be able to do as much. Now, I'm pretty sure if you have an aggressive attorney and you have a case that is just outright copyright infringement, I'm sure you still will be able to successfully win the case, right? But not in all instances. And so because situations like that can happen, and every case is different, every judge is different, every attorney is different in how they do business, it's a possibility that you may or may not win that case. So to do the due diligence, go ahead and file your song with the Library of Congress. If you know that you are going to be shopping your song, if you know that you're going to be releasing the song, if you know that it's going to be featured on an EP or, maybe another project, you want to go ahead and file the copyright for it legally with the Library of Congress to get your federal certification number, okay? So we already know, just to backtrack, because I want to make sure I answered the question correctly. I've been trying to, analyze my videos to make sure I'm straight to the point, and because I want to make sure these videos are resourceful for you guys. Do you have an automatic copyright? Yes. As soon as you decide that you are done with that song and it is in a tangible form, from electronically to paper to, a time-stamped email, a time-stamped session, wherever that information, the song itself becomes an intellectual property. As the owner, that is your official copyright, okay? However, it is not certified federally unless you file with the Library of Congress, okay? Library of Congress copyright fees now are $65 per copyright. There are many instances where, and I've talked about this before, where you are able to file your copyright in a volume form or a collection, which is what they say on the site. If you want to file it in a collection form, you can. However, the song must be completely owned by one author to file it in a volume form. So that means if you're uploading all the lyrics cannot have a co-author. They cannot have a co-writer. They cannot have a co-producer. So if you are filing all lyrics and you're the only author of those lyrics and that's what you want to register, then you can actually register those lyrics in a volume to where it's multiple works within one registration, which means you're only paying one fee. However, if you are you're dealing with so many different songs from a project and you have multiple writers that have co-written with you, as well as producers who've also co-produced or produced certain songs, maybe 4 or 5 different producers on one project, then you would still have to individually file each of those songs. Due to the fact that, there can only be one author when you're doing it in volumes, and obviously each author has to be accounted for their percentage of ownership. So you have to file it individually. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I hope that was clear enough on what an automatic copyright is, how it protects you, and what you can do once it's, federally certified. Okay. All right. So do we have any questions? Thank you. Somebody said good information. No, you got it. That's what I'm here for. Somebody said, that's right. Thank you. Thank you for this. You're welcome. You're welcome. This is what I do. All right. So if anyone has a question, here we go. And I'm doing videos now. So if you guys want to invite me for you to ask the question ahead of time, like you can ask me to invite you, or however it works, where I invite you to you invite me to go live with you and I can see you and you can ask your question. Yeah. Okay, that copyright segment was really good. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, here we go. As a songwriter, are you considered an independent contractor when labels want you to write for their artists? Absolutely not. I wouldn't allow myself to be an independent contractor, because what that means is, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a work for hire. As an independent contractor, most likely, yes, you will be 1099. That means that they're going to give you a fee if they are paying you a fee up front for the actual the project or the song that you're writing on. That fee in itself would be your fee for the song, and they're going to most likely ask you to fill out a W-9 and turn it into them. And that W-9 will then get you a 1099 at the top of the following year. Usually by January 30th, we all receive our 1099s and W-2s and stuff like that. So, you will be an independent contractor, but you won't be a work for hire. So make sure you never do work for hire. If a label is hiring you to write a song, they need to pay the fee, your songwriting fee. And a lot of times, I was just talking to one of my writers about this, who signed with the Mezzo. You got to look out for yourself. And sometimes producers, they're usually known for getting these fees up front. And so there are times when, as a songwriter, I've had to ask my producers to make sure that they include a songwriting fee in their fee as a production fee, because sometimes labels, depending on their budgets and depending on how popular you are and depending on whether or not you have a relationship with them, sometimes they will forget about the songwriter and just be like, okay, yeah, we'll give her pub, but they won't necessarily look out for a fee. And so what I have done is, through my experience and my years of working and building great rapport with producers, when we were to get placements, I always speak to them ahead of time and let them know, hey, do you mind if you are going to charge them $5,000 for your track? Can you add an additional $1,500, $2,000 on top of that so I can get a fee? And then at the end of the day, I'll make sure that I also get get a W-9 to them, and I'll show them how to get me a 1099 for that following year, so they don't have to pay taxes on the money that they cut to me. You see what I'm saying? Because the label sometimes is not going to look out for you, and so a lot of times producers will, they'll definitely show love, because they understand that, we need to get paid too for our work. And so I think that's really helpful, because a lot of times we spend so much time with the producer working on the record. It's like, man, we finally get the record done. It's like, can I have a fee, for my work? And so if you have some producers who are willing to work with you, maybe they come down on their feet just a little bit to make sure that you can eat off of it. That's always a good situation as well. Okay, so I got a lot of questions coming in, so I'm going to scroll up. Somebody said, yes, that was very clear. Okay, you're talking about the copyrights. Thank you. Another question. I sign up as a songwriter on BMI as a music producer. Do I need to sign up as a publisher on BMI? Yes, sign up on both. All right, let me do some requests. Hold on. Does a 1099 still give the artist a split sheet? No, a 1099 is a tax form. A split sheet is a separate split sheet that you need to have with all collaborators in one session to make sure that you guys have your ownership for registration when you're registering the songs, and so that everybody gets paid royalties. So that's two separate things. 1099 is a tax form. All right, so let me ask JSE. I don't want to have to request everybody. Can y'all? JSN Productions, I'm waiting for you to join. Yeah, thank you, Clint. Okay, so then somebody declined. Their question is, what is the common path for new songwriters to get a song out to artists or labels? Wow, I've talked about this so many times. I would highly recommend you go and watch some of my videos on YouTube where I talk about different networking tactics and how to approach artists and labels. If you look on my Instagram, actually, I talk about that with Kato. If you look on my feed, last week I actually posted a video where I talked about songwriters how to approach new artists or labels. So you can just go to my Instagram page to watch that. Okay, that's a great way to approach. So both get paid upfront money. I know, Clint, right? That's the best thing is just that ask your producer to include your fee. Okay, somebody said, hi, I'm just logging on. You may have already answered it, but I researched years ago that your songs are automatically copyrighted written down and tangible. Is this true? Yes, please. I literally started at 8:05 and I answered the question, and I was very detailed. So after I upload this to my IGTV and my YouTube channel, you can go back and watch it. Yep, looking out for each other. What exactly do I submit to the Library of Congress? Is it a master or the recording or a copy of the lyrics or what? It all depends on what you own. So if you are owning the entire song, then you would upload everything. If you are owning the lyrics, you can upload the lyrics. But if you also own the song and it's more than you who own it, like say for instance, you wrote the lyrics and someone else is the producer and they wrote the music, then you would upload that song, but just make sure you appropriate their percentage of ownership to them for that copyright. But you always have to deposit. They call it an electronic deposit. You always have to deposit that documentation or that audio file. So if it's an MP3 or a WAV, you have to upload it in addition to including, a document of your lyrics. Does the Mezzo agency shop songs for writers? Yes, for the writers that are signed, yes, we do. To be a part of the team, I would say just work, build a buzz for yourself, and every now and then or so, send us some of your music. I've given out my email address several times, but it is LaTrellmusic@gmail.com. If you want me to hear some of the stuff you have going on, please send me links. Don't send me MP3s. I would rather hear what you have going on to see if I feel like you're dope enough. Because to be quite honest, I don't really find anybody I don't believe in, and that's just straight facts. So I have to know that you either are in a place of development that could, that we can work with, or you already have a lot of experience under your belt, and it won't be really hard for me to be able to trust you with delivering when song requests come in. So, because that's the main thing. If we're shopping records, or if a company is contacting me, I have to be on point and make sure that I have the catalog that meets their criteria before we send stuff off. Do you have to register a song if you don't intend on making money off of it? If it's going to be, again, like I said when I was talking about copywriting earlier, if you are going to be having it in public domain, whether you're shopping it, whether you are just, sharing it for people to hear, once it becomes public, it's liable to be infringed if someone wants to have it. So it just protects you by having it copywritten. Okay. Someone said they can't hear me anymore. Can y'all not hear me? Oh my goodness, can you not hear me? Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me? Can someone say I can hear you or I can't? Okay, what is that number, like a social security number that is assigned to a song you write, not an IPI number, the other one? You must be talking about on BMI or ASCAP. So there are two numbers that you're going to be issued. One is an IPI number, which is your number that is for your royalty account. The other number is after the work is registered, you will get an ISWC, and that is the coding on your song that allows for an ISRC to be able to pull in royalties and pay the appropriate account. So the ISRC is given to you once your songs are uploaded on streaming platforms. You have a digital ISRC, you have a mechanical ISRC. The ISRC has to communicate with the ISWC, which is given usually by your PRO, like BMI or ASCAP, once the song has been registered. All right. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Do I have to register every song I have to ASCAP or BMI as a songwriter and also as an artist? If you are a songwriter, you register on ASCAP or BMI, whichever PRO you're with. If you are an artist, you're also going to register this song on SoundExchange. SoundExchange pays performance royalties to artists, and you have the ability and the, I would say, the opportunity to be able to pay maybe like a producer or a featured artist as well from your performance royalties, that you would have to get a letter of direction, which is called an LOD. So yes, PROs for songwriters, ASCAP and BMI, and CSAC. Performance royalties for SoundExchange will be for artists. Okay, everybody said they can hear me. Okay, good. Yay! It sounds muffled. Wow, I wonder if it's because on my laptop. Is that better? Wow, that's the first time it happened. Okay, it started to happen once I started to call one of the people on IG to answer a question. Okay, so that's why I'm not doing that. See, you're not doing that. So I hope this is better, guys. Okay, how can international songwriters work with U.S. music companies like BMI? That's a tricky question. I would say try it, because they don't discriminate on your royalty collection, setting up your account. It's not a problem for you to set up an account with BMI, but BMI is not going to be able to collect another territory for your domestic royalties and for domestic performance royalties, and that's why they have other PROs in other countries, so you become a member of their territory, and then from there they can collect on your behalf because your residence is there. However, if you do create an account, because I know people in the Caribbean, they have registered their accounts with BMI, and BMI is only able to collect the royalties that were generated domestically for them. Okay. Yes, they do. Sony ATV does do that. Yes, they do. They let me know when certain artists are coming up with new projects? Yes, that's a part of being a part of their publishing company. All right, let's try to get somebody on camera. I hope you guys can hear me, because I did not know it was muffled. Okay, so this person requested to be in, and then he declined. All right, what about now? It's fine. Okay, cool. It's cool. Y'all can hear me? Okay. Yes. Okay. All right, I'm trying to go live with y'all. I see the request coming in. Okay, so we have hi.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm from Iraq.
Okay. Hi, Iraq. Welcome from Iraq.
Yeah,
Hello from the U.S. Welcome, Iraq. Wow.
yeah.
How can I help you? Do you have a question?
What?
Do you have a question?
I'm no good at speaking English. Slowly.
Why did you request? This is a
Eh,
Q&A. Everyone's in here asking questions. Well, it was
One
nice
minute.
meeting you. Bye,
What's your
Mary.
What's your name? What's your name?
Do you have a question? Do
What?
you have a question? Okay, never mind. Take care.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. Interesting. Come on, people. It's still quarantine, and we all come on, people. I know it's still quarantine, and we don't all look our best. Okay. Wow, that was very interesting. You're so informative. I'm glad I followed. Thank you. Thank you for following. Someone else has, what is the process for a PRO to acquire reciprocal agreements with other PROs in other countries? You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I think you definitely should check with your PRO, whether you're with BMI or ASCAP. I don't specifically work for neither one of the companies. I'm just a member of both because I have a publishing company. So I think you would definitely get a better answer, more educated and more informed answer if you reach out to your PRO. And they can explain the process to you as a part of your membership. Okay. All right. Let's see who else we got. More questions coming in. What's your name? I know, right? You trying to holler. Okay. Yes, everybody like he's trying to spit game. All right. So are there any other questions? Let me see. Oh, here goes another one. I'm trying to add y'all in, but that's it. That was funny. All right, next question. Say I have never taken any steps toward being a professional in the music business, but I want to rap full time. I don't want to make beats, but rap. What is the main thing I should do first thing? What is the first thing I should do? You should start rapping. I mean, if you want to rap, you should definitely start showing, improving that you are good at what you do. Most likely, if you are a rapper, you're also a writer. So I will find local people that are in your community or either online that you're, that you have, a good vibe with. Maybe you can go to their page and listen to some tracks that they're playing and or they have on their page, and you can DM them and build a relationship with the correct approach. I talk about approach a lot, guys. Make sure you approach them in a professional way, and and just say, hey, I'm looking to collab, and I hope that I can bring some type of value to you. I'm an up and coming rapper, and I would say just start building organically. And if you know any friends that produce, build relationships with them. A lot of times, production teams start off, with just people vibing well, and you just never know what that can evolve to. But if you are a rapper, then that's the first thing you need to start doing is rapping. Like outside of the business, you have to be a creator first, because if it's not for your creation, there would be no business. Okay. So that's the first thing I would do. What plan would you suggest for a new independent artist to be successful? The first thing is just making great music. In addition to that, having a team behind you. You definitely need to have some money behind you, because you can have a fan base that you grow organically, but you're still going to need to have finances to be able to pay for your production, your mixing, your mastering. You definitely need marketing money to go behind, radio promo. You need to have someone on your team who's going to be doing your bookings for you. Your branding, your imaging, your styling, all of that stuff is a part of the process as an artist. And so I would definitely say focus on your music first, but then as that starts to build, and having relationships with great producers, and, your sound is being developed, then you should start bringing in other people who can facilitate and help you. In addition to that, look, you have tons of resources online, right? Everything from on social media mainly is free unless you want to advertise, but you definitely should have your following. You should start building your fan base online with SoundCloud and Instagram and YouTube, especially, and really just being highly engaged, really showing a lot of what you do, your craft, if you're a singer, if you're a rapper, and getting a lot of engagement from other fans and followers and friends, and just let it organically grow. But at the same time, please have money put to the side, because you're going to have to pay and invest in yourself. In any business, any entrepreneur, including myself, will tell you that you need to be able to invest in yourself. And if you can't invest in yourself, then asking someone else for money would be kind of like, well, why should I spend money with you if you're not really putting any money into yourself? So I would say start with those things. All right. So when should I worry about registering as a songwriter or a publisher? Like I said, same with the copyrights. If you are a songwriter or producer and you're registering, if you're getting ready to release a song, or you're shopping songs, because you could be a songwriter or a producer that's shopping songs for placements for licensing and sync opportunities, right? They won't necessarily be a full album or coming out on the EP, but those songs still need to be registered with the PRO, because they collect performance royalties for film, television, and any live performances. So at the end of the day, having your account as a songwriter with BMI or ASCAP or CSAC. In CSAC's case, they invite you only. So let's just stick with BMI and ASCAP. But you will want to have an account with either one of those two PROs, so that when it's time for you to start registering your work, you're already a member and you're not waiting to be approved. And then all of a sudden the song is already out and you got to hurry up and register. So I would say get that done now. Become a member. BMI is free. I think ASCAP is $50 if you are a songwriter. And I also have the rates on my Instagram. Not my Instagram, my YouTube channel. If you go there, I actually talk about the rates for BMI and ASCAP. I even put the links in there as well, so you can link off to them to get more information. Okay. All right. Next question. I see the Plex behind you. Keyshia Cole and Whitney Houston. Have you worked on their albums? Yes, I was a part of Whitney's Just Whitney album. I wrote the first single called What You Looking At. I was 17 years old, and yeah, that was years ago. And Keyshia Cole, I worked on her Just Like You album. That was in 2008. Yeah, and both of those projects went platinum. And Keyshia's got Grammy nominated. All right. God is good. God is good. All right. Next question. Yes, invest in yourself. All right. Can you give us some information with regards to sync licensing, and how is the sync licensing upfront fees split between a publisher and a record label? It depends, because a lot of times, sometimes the record label has to, for one, own a portion of the copyright in order to be able to get paid for the licenses. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It just depends on what label you are with. If you're with a major, most likely yes. But on the publisher side, for sure, if you're with a publishing company, they're usually going to be getting paid a part of that sync license. The portion of the fees will be broken down based on ownership. So let's say, for instance, I wrote a song and I own 50% of the song, and the producer owns 50%. If I have a deal with a major publisher and they actually take half of my percentage, then I would only get 25% of that fee. The other 25% will go to my publisher, and then the other 50% will go to that producer if he's unpublished. So, well, not necessarily unpublished, but it's not signed with a major publisher. So they break the fees down based on ownership of the song, and then of course you get your royalties on the back end for when it's actually aired and played, like commercial or television film. I'm new to Houston. Are there any Black songwriting groups or meetups that you're aware of? I have not lived in Houston. Oh my God, I'm from Houston, H-Town represent, but I have not lived in Houston since 2013. So I wouldn't know, but if there's anyone in Houston that is familiar with songwriting groups or meetups, T Cantrell, holla at him, TKANTREL, let him know, because I'm not aware. Sac Wilson, what was your first placement and how did that come about? Whew, long story. I'll just say this. I started off as an artist. And I tell this story so many times, so you can go on my YouTube and find out like the detail of the story. And it's also in my ebook as well. If you want to join my VIP club by clicking the link in the bio, you can actually learn the full story by downloading my book. Once you become a member, it'll show up in the portal and you'll be able to have access to it and download it for free. My first placement came about. I was an artist, and I had written a song. I was working on my album at the time, but I decided that I no longer wanted to be on the label because the label and I just did not see eye to eye on a few things that I had concerns about. And so when I addressed them, it seemed like it was a problem. So I was like, okay, well, if I can't get my problems addressed, my issues addressed, then I'm just going to move around. So I put in my letter of termination. I got released out of the deal, and I went to college on a full scholarship. And so then my mom calls me my freshman year in college saying that, hey, Whitney Houston is on the radio singing your song. And so and so that's how that placement came about. I didn't find out until after the song was already released, recorded, mixed, mastered, and on the shelves, because at that time we did have physical copies. Luckily for me, I had already copywritten the song when I left the label. So I owned the original copyright for the song. And so because I owned that original copyright for my work, when it came down to it, I was able to present that documentation with the label, with Arista, as well as the CEO of the indie label who had actually sold the song to Whitney. And I was able to negotiate a substantial royalty publishing share for myself that allowed me to be able to get those royalties. Now, I did miss out on the upfront fee because, a lot of times when the label cuts the check for the actual song, they are usually paying the producer and the label, or, in this case, this is how it was negotiated. They paid the producer, and of course the label got a portion of it because they own the masters to the song, to the actual work. But because I missed out on that money, I didn't really care as much. Whitney's album did do very well. It went platinum in the United States. She charted very well overseas. And so that following year, on Thanksgiving Day, I'll never forget, I got one of the biggest checks of my life before I got my publishing deal. So it was a bittersweet moment that eventually turned into how my career kicked off as a songwriter. And I was able to really leverage for me getting into a publishing deal. I was able to use that placement with Whitney Houston as a part of my negotiations so that I would, be in a deal that would make sense for me at that time. And so, yeah, that's how it happened. All right. What's a good approach for building an A&R career? I'm not an A&R, but I would honestly say as an A&R, I think you should definitely have a great skill for knowing great music. You should have a great ear. You should be able to really, really tell when someone is talented and has what it takes, whether they're an indie artist or a major. I think A&Rs to me, I know they've changed lately, as of late, because the industry has changed, but A&Rs really were the glue between the artist and the label at one time back in the day, to just make sure that things were being followed through on the label side, and that the artist projects were getting done, and certain songs were being picked, and producers and everything were being pulled in, songwriters were being brought to the table to make sure that there was a good project ultimately. And so I would just strongly suggest figure out whether or not you have a really good ear for music, and then start finding mentors, find an A&R that you actually think is really great with their skill set. Follow them, uh, learn them, try to be a mentee and let them be your mentor if you have relationships with someone who's already in the industry. But I would definitely start off that way. What would be a standard split for lyrics on a project? I answered this last week. We talked about split scenarios. So make sure you go to my YouTube channel, and I literally cover everything. But I would say a standard split for lyrics, if you are the only songwriter and you're working with the producer, I would say 50-50. So you would get 50% for lyric ownership, and the producer would get the other 50% for owning the music. Okay. That was pretty easy. What is the difference between a songwriter and a publisher? Great question. I like that. So the songwriter, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to block this guy. Sorry, guys. The difference between the songwriter, a songwriter is an actual person who composes lyrics or music. Okay, yeah, lyrics or music, like lyrics to the song or music to the song. In publishing terms, we call songwriters, we call producers and songwriters. So when you become a songwriter, it's because obviously you've actually put in your creative work and composed something from nothing. And so as a songwriter, you are able to, of course, get royalties for your work, and you have all these other rights that your copyright actually gives you. It grants your copyright for owning that particular intellectual property it grants you so many rights to be able to, you know, release your music, sell your music. You can do so much with it, with that copyright ownership. In addition to that, you can license your music. You can just do so much under the copyright law. Now, as a publisher, I would say the easiest way to look at a publisher is like a house, right? Your publisher is where where all your songs are stored in a house. So if you have a huge house and you have all these different rooms, you may have all these different songs that are in that one house, and you can do different things as owner of those songs. So as a songwriter, you can be your own publisher, and or you can co-publish with someone like I have. I'm co-published by Sony ATV. So Sony ATV helps me and empowers my songs to be able to be shopped, licensed, cleared, distributed, and they help facilitate all of the paperwork that is involved with that as well. And they advance money as well for, you know, my royalties. They advance me money for my royalties. And then I'll just recoup back with them. So they kind of build an account with me, kind of like a loan, basically. And so they loan you out this money so that you can continue to work as a songwriter. And then they co-publish with me. So I'm LaTrell Music / Sony ATV, Sony LaTrell Music ASCAP Sony ATV, or now it may say EMI Music Publishing because that's who it was back in the day. But they co-publish with me, and so you have the same rights as your publisher, but when you sign the deal with them, they take over majority of those rights. They still have to run things by you and let you know, hey, this song just got picked up, or this song is open to be cleared. You know, here are the splits. This is the fee that they want to pay. Would you like to say yes or no? And so but that's pretty much the difference. The difference in my situation is that I'm co-published, whereas if I did not have them as a co-publisher, then I would just be published as Tami LaTrell, the songwriter, and LaTrell Music as my publishing company. Okay. And so from there, I'm able to make money off of those songs. In addition to it, as a publisher, you can sign other writers to be signed to your publishing company, and you publish their works. You help to license and clear their works and so forth. And you own a percentage of the copyright if they're signed to your publishing company as a publishing entity that's owning masters, owning copyrights, owning publishing. Some companies don't do that. Some companies are just admin companies similar to the Mezzo agency. We don't own copyrights and we don't own publishing, but we do help facilitate with song registrations, catalog management. We also help with shopping songs, licensing songs, and clearing songs as well. I hope that answered your question. All right. Any thoughts on what Sony ATV coming to Atlanta means for local talent? Is the focus on hip hop and R&B? Knowing Big John, the focus is on everybody because he is a very all-inclusive chairman. He has definitely taught me a lot about diversity in music. And I remember when we first started our songwriter conferences, it used to just be like all urban. But then as the company began to grow and as his position began to increase and he became, you know, over creative, he was like the head of creative, then it was like we started seeing people coming in from Latin genres and country genres, and you know, the pop genres were coming in now. So it wasn't just all urban hip hop and R&B artists or songwriters that were coming into these songwriting conferences. And so I definitely know that hip hop and R&B is really heavy in Atlanta. It's the leading genre. I know hip hop is the leading genre coming out of Atlanta, really leading the charts. But truth be told. But you know, everything is coming out of Atlanta, so I wouldn't be surprised if hip hop and R&B or just hip hop is the focus. But also, you know, there are a lot of different other types of genres here in Atlanta, and I think it will be a great opportunity for Sony ATV to be able to tap into those the other genres as well. So I don't really know specifically, but I do know that it is a huge opportunity for songwriters and producers. So please, please, please make sure you guys stay tuned for what is to come with Sony ATV. All right. How did I get connected to Keyshia and Whitney? I just explained the situation with Whitney and how that happened. I got Grammy nominated because Keyshia's album was Grammy nominated. And once the album is Grammy nominated, then everyone that is a part of the album is now Grammy nominated. How I got connected to Keyshia was we actually wrote that song for Brandy. Brandy was going through a lot with I think a car accident or something that had just occurred. So it was just a really bad time for her. But we had actually got a girl who actually sounded like Brandy and everything to demo the song. And I wrote a song called Falling Out for Keyshia Cole. But like I said, we originally did it for Brandy. I was 5 months pregnant. I did the song in like 15, 20 minutes. It was the last song after I had been out in LA for like 2 weeks. I was tired, exhausted, just ready to go home. And that was the very last song that I wrote. And I remember Soul Shock and Carlin, who was the producer. Shout out to them. They are an amazing duo team that I worked with back in the day. I remember them saying, Tami, just one more. If you could just give us one more. We know you got to leave. I'm like, yo, I got to catch my flight. You know, I got to leave. And they're like, no, just one more song, one more song. And so I ended up writing that song. And like I said, 15, 20 minutes. They pulled up the track and I was just sitting there just letting it flow. I gave them the melody and then I went in there and just penned the lyrics. And then I was like, all right, y'all, I'm out. And I was done. I was so exhausted and over it. I think I did maybe 20 songs in 2 weeks. So you could imagine how I was just done. I needed a break, a creative break. And so, yeah, that was in maybe March, April, maybe even May. And by September, I had got notified that it was going to be on, it was the last album to be chosen, the last song to be chosen to go on Keyshia Cole's album. And Ron Fair, who is a phenomenal producer / executive, he added strings to it, brought in a full orchestra. They changed up the bridge just a little bit, but man, it sounded completely different, but better than the original version. And so I was just so happy that happened. So that's how the Keyshia Cole placement happened. All right, so a composer, producer gets more of a split than a songwriter or vocalist. The vocalist is not a songwriter if they're just coming in, they're just a demo singer. The songwriter is a composer. The producer is a composer. They compose, the producer composes music and the songwriter composes lyrics. So their share would be literally the same. What's up, Cuban? Italy in the building? You are very beautiful. I'm from Iraq. Thank you. Has anyone checked out? Oh, okay. LaTrell is trying to advertise. I see you, buddy. All right. Good for you. Glad it worked out for you. Thank you. I'm so happy it worked out. How many years ahead of time was it copyrighted? It takes time, right? No, at that time, it usually takes about 3 to 6 months. At that time, there was no, digital system, so everything was on paper. So I want to say it was about 6 months. But remember, I had left the label a year before that, so I had already started copywriting all of my songs prior to. Now, after 9/11 hit, it was madness. It was a lot going on, and it took forever. Sometimes I think up to 6 months before people were able to get their copyrights done. So I think I came in right a year or two before that. Yeah. Excuse me. Everybody just in here advertising your business. Okay, boo-boo, I got you. Who are the right people to connect with to even pitch a demo? You need to connect with people who are over projects. I would also say connect locally to people who are, looking for or working on projects in your region, in your area. If you have any local artists that need songs, I would pitch songs that way. Find out who their manager is. really identify who you're targeting, and then find out who is in charge of their booking or who's in charge of over their project. It may even be a producer, because sometimes in the very beginning stages with indie artists, they are working with producers and trying to do production deals or already in a production deal. And so that also may be a good way for you to pitch your song demos to see if they're interested. Her YouTube is full of gems. Thank you. Please go subscribe. Search Tami LaTrell on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. YouTube.com/Tami LaTrell. Tami LaTrell, my name. Yes. You are very beautiful. Thank you. All right. Analogies help me learn. What are your thoughts on the umbrella services offered by platforms such as CD Baby and TuneCore? I'm not against umbrella services. However, I do think when you are going to a specific company for a specific thing, and that is what they have proven that they are good in that area. Like, let's just say distribution, right? Because that's what we're talking about. CD Baby, TuneCore, they help with distribution. I would rather them focus on distribution, and then I would use other services elsewhere. So I know a lot of them are starting to evolve into like trying to collect your publishing and all of that stuff, so you can have one portal. But a lot of times it's so much going on, and you just don't want to get caught up in the minutia of it all. I would really just let them focus on distribution and making sure your songs are up on time and published to all of the different digital streaming platforms that they say that they're going to be published on time, because a lot of them are not on time. But also you have to make sure you do it within a timely manner so that they have time to schedule everything out, because sometimes that is the most frustrating when an indie artist put out a project and it's not where it says it's going to be on that specific date when it releases. Just not a good experience. So I would say focus on distribution with them. And if you are looking for someone to collect your royalties for you, I would choose Songtrust. You can use my code, which is Star Factory with a capital S and a capital F, Star Factory. And that'll get you 20% off your sign up. But you can register your songs with them and collect royalties that way. That doesn't, CD Baby and TuneCore is not, getting in the middle of that money. I recently tried to copyright a bulk of my recorded music Library of Congress, and they told me that I can only do 10 songs. Is that true? Yes. So in volume and collections, yes, you can only do up to 10 songs. That's per volume. Okay. All right, guys. So if I'm only a registered songwriter, not as a publisher, and I release a song, does that automatically make me the publisher of the music? Yes. If you're with BMI and you don't have a publishing company, they're going to pay you as a songwriter both your publisher royalties and your writing royalties. If you are with ASCAP is going to pay you for your writer royalties, and you need to set up a publishing account to collect your publisher royalties. All right, Mr. LaTrell, we're going to go on and just record and get you on up out of here. All right. What is the difference between copywriting a beat with a sample? It's a little different because you don't technically own the copyright for that beat if the sample is included. It's also whoever owns that sample also now becomes an owner of that work. And so that's why it's always important to get those samples cleared, identify who the publisher is for that particular song, and reach out that way. That way you're not doing any infringement, because you can end up being in a lawsuit and getting sued. Or they can come after everything and say, nope, we're going to actually take this song down, or nope, we're going to actually take all of the publishing and you won't get anything from it. So yeah, I love you too. What are your favorite songwriter exercises to combat writer's block? Oh my God. That's such a great question. I have posted on my Instagram channel, my Instagram feed, there is about 10 or 11 different ways that I have fought back writer's block, right? Because sometimes, especially with what we're going through right now with quarantine, a lot of our loved ones are, we're not able to interact and engage as often as we would like. And things are slowly opening back up, but this last month and a half has been a little weird, and there have been a lot of people who have tragically lost their lives. Rest in peace. my heart goes out to anybody who has, even if you're on this channel, you know someone or has lost someone. My prayers and condolences. But with all of that comes stress. And in addition to people losing their jobs and not being able to figure out or haven't yet figured out how they're going to pay rent and all this type of stuff that could have happened that is affecting us all in some shape, form, or fashion. And so that causes stress, and stress shuts down your creativity at times. Now, some people can push through it, but a lot of people really get bogged down to where it's just really hard to create and hard to come up with ideas and stuff. So I would strongly say go to my YouTube feed and look on the feed where I talk about, getting exercising. And sometimes you just need to sleep. Sometimes it helps to watch a good movie, hear a good story so you can get re-inspired again. I know when I watch movies, they trigger a bit of an emotion for me, or if I read a book, that triggers emotion for me. And then from that emotion, I can then go into storytelling. But everybody has their own way of doing things. So I would just say, go to my page on my feed and see what works for you. Try different things. But I would definitely also strongly suggest, if you don't, I would suggest getting into prayer or meditation I do a lot of prayer, but I also meditate to quiet my mind. I look at prayer as a way to be able to speak to God and communicate with him, let him know that, I'm grateful, I honor you, I worship you, I praise you. And these are the things that I come to you with, and these are the things that I ask that you help me with. But when I go into meditation, that is my time to quietly sit and be still and not think and not talk, but more so listen. And so I've learned that through listening and just being quiet and just allowing things to really come to you, it really helps with the creativity. It really helps with the process. And so I just ask that each and every one of you, if you haven't tried meditation, try it. It has been a godsend for me. It has helped me get through a lot of troubling times that I feel while I was praying through it. I was praying, but I wasn't hearing. I wasn't listening until I learned how to meditate. And so that also helped with my anxiety. That also helped with me just having clear thoughts, and I know friends of mine who have really had it hard mentally as well, because think about this. This is where a lot of information is stored, and this is where a lot of emotions, are also stored too. So not only what we have learned, but what we've experienced, what we feel has also been stored here. And so sometimes it will come up, and the next thing you know, it will be as a part of protection for you, to help you in situations. Your mind gets to start thinking, and now you're worried about stuff, or now you feel like you got to call somebody. I mean, your mind does so much based off of what it has experienced and what it has learned. It's like a computer. It's just going to digest information and then put out information. But if you don't get right in your spirit cannot calm your mind down. And so that's what meditation has done for me. So that's my spiel on that. I hope that'll help you guys with writer's blocks. If you have, encountered writer's block during this time, or any creative block. I mean, even if you are a producer and you just can't come up with any music, try something different. Look on my feed, take that advice. Those are the songwriting exercises that I've done that work for me. All right, so we got 2 more minutes, guys. Thank you so much. Somebody said you're one of my biggest inspirations. Thank you. Is it so? What's up, so? We gotta connect soon. Do you still have to record a song with a sample of someone else's song? And at that point, the artist has to approve the sample to use. Like doing a cover song, you don't necessarily have to approve, but you do need to register it, and they will contact the publisher. And sometimes depending on how you use the music would also determine whether or not it gets cleared. So I would just say, before you release the song, contact the publisher of the original song, send a copy to them and let them know that you're going to be releasing the song, and get feedback. And hopefully you can get some support. All right. Was I able to receive performance royalties on Whitney Houston songs? Yes, I received all of my royalties, my mechanicals, my performance royalties, my international royalties. I was able to receive everything because I own that copyright. So with that being said, We only have a minute and 45 seconds left. I want to thank each and every one of you. Tonight was such a productive and very interesting live. But I had a great time talking to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next Friday at 8 p.m. Same time, same place, answering your questions. Feel free to book a consultation with me as well at TamiLaTrell.com. Click on the shop button. You can click and order a consultation, pay for a consultation, song critique, or if you want me to join in a session with you, I'm able to do that as well. For more information about my publishing administration company, please log on to the Mezzo Agency, actually mezzoagency.com, MEZZO agency.com. And don't forget to follow me on social media everywhere, Tami LaTrell. Subscribe to my YouTube. I'm trying to get my subscribers up. Like I got like over 670,000 views, but only like 4,500 subscribers. So please subscribe, everyone. If you know anyone who can benefit from my information, please also share this video, share my YouTube with them so that they can subscribe also. I really appreciate it. All right. Bye, everyone. Love and light. Mwah.